Hey everyone, I'm going to take a look at the European national team selection on eFootball. I've already reviewed the worldwide selection. That video is live on the channel now if you want to check it out. As always, I'll put timestamps in the description for each player. So if you want to hear about particular players, click in the description and there'll be a link to take you straight to them. We have 11 5-star players, just like in the worldwide selection. We'll start with one of the lowest rate ones, a couple of 79s here. So we'll start with Moise Kean. At least that's how the commentators seem to be pronouncing it these days. Kane, I'll say Kane, that's how they're saying it. So he's got a face scan. Unfortunately, inconsistent form, although he's on B form. He's had a lot of good form this season. He's doing really well for Fiorentina. So let's see how good his card is. We'll jump over to eFootball Hub. And when he's maximum level, all boosted up, he's decent. So he's a goal poacher. With a goal poacher, you obviously want the awareness, you want the finishing, you want a bit of pace. He's got pretty much all those things. The finishing is not quite as good as I'd like it to be, though. Ideally, I'd like the awareness of finishing around the 90 mark. So we'll see if we can put a few extra points on finishing, although I've already gone to 12 in there. So the next increase on shooting will be 4 points, which is pretty expensive. But it's not disastrously low, though, 86. And he's pretty decent on the ball for a poacher. Not great passing. Looks like a not dissimilar profile to Marmoush, actually, from the World Wide Pack, although obviously Kane's a lot stronger physically. Looking down at the skills, what we got? Not too many skills, but first time shot, dipping, long range shooting, heading. So we've got some of the most important ones in the centre forward. He's just shy of 6 foot. He's got decent physical contact. He's got 80 jumping. Might be worth putting aerial superiority on him. I would certainly put acrobatic finishing on him. Maybe his long range curler, and with his passing being as bad as it is, I would certainly look to put one touch passing, through passing on him if you are going to look to put skills on this guy. Yeah, it's a decent version of Kane, actually. We've had a couple of player of the weeks of him. One when he was at Juve, that wasn't quite so good. And there is a Fiorentina one, a recent Fiorentina player of the week card that goes to about the same rating as this one when it's got the A form boost, but I would say this one's a little bit better on the whole. It's got better attacking awareness primarily. And in terms of trainable versions, a couple from when he was at Juventus, one really wasn't so great. The other one looks like it's slightly higher rated than this one, but they're pretty similar. So this one, not necessarily the absolute best version of Kane, but it's up there. It's a good version of him. And yeah, he's had a good boost from his GP card as well. So if you like this guy, it's a good version of him. Certainly got the pace as a poacher, a bit of physicality as well. And you don't always find that a quick goal poacher is also physically strong. So it's worth noting that is good. And then down the left, really, it's the only attribute that I think is really a little bit on the low side is the finishing, and obviously the passing is not great. Apart from that, this card is pretty good. So like I say, could we get that finishing a bit higher? I mean, you only need to get it one higher. If we just momentarily take away the game plan boost, you see it's 84. When you get to 85, then they start going up by 3 with each increase. When you get an 88 rated manager, so we only need to put that finishing up by 1 to get to 88. I think it's probably worth doing that. You could just take maybe 1 off dribbling. What else would you take? I don't want to go below 90 on speed. I guess 2 on dribbling is all we can really do. Yeah, 4 points is all that takes. So I think that's probably worth it. I mean, on a goal poacher player like this, you're going to look to just get behind it and take chances with him. I don't think most people are going to look to do too much dribbling and get this guy on the ball too much. So I think you can afford to lose a couple of points off the dribbling. Maybe it's worth getting that finishing up by 2. So I think that's a decent trade, but it's only a minor change really in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, on the whole, this is a fairly good centre forward. You know, goal poacher with some pace and some physical strength. His balance isn't too high, but it could be worse. Physical and balance both in the 80s, I think, is good. You don't always get that with strikers. On the ball, like I say, even after taking a couple of points away for a goal poacher, that's not too bad. And the awareness and finishing in the high 80s is just about high enough for me. So it's by no means an elite level card, but if you do like this guy, aside from the fact he does have inconsistent form, he is getting a lot of A and B form, as you can see here, this season at Fiorentina. So yeah, especially if you're getting 1 or 2 skills, if you do like this guy, might have been an amazing card, but it's a pretty good one. It's a very solid centre forward goal poacher, this. Next up, we have our very first featured version of Antonio Nusa, Norwegian. He plays in the Bundesliga, so one thing to note straight away, he does not get a live update, apart from when he's playing in international weeks, because in international weeks they do apply live update these days, but outside of that, based on his club form, he will be stuck on C form as long as he's in the Bundesliga. He does have a face scan, but yeah, no live update for the most part, and only standard form. Bit of a downside with this guy, but let's have a look how good he is. It's the first time I've had a featured version of Nusa. So max him out, get him all fully boosted. He looks decent. So like I said, it's the first time I've had a feature version of him. He's had a decent boost from his GP card. It's mainly on his end product though. Not a lot of boost elsewhere, but when you look elsewhere, good on the ball. good pace. He doesn't really need too much of a boost elsewhere, so if they're going to boost this one area, I think the end product is definitely it, because he's still not particularly high there, but it could be worse. Certainly, like I say, he's good on the ball. He's got some pace there. As a wide man, right-footed, I think is another one of these cards where I wouldn't be playing him on the right, even though he's got it, because he's not got great lofted pass and he doesn't have pinpoint crossing anyways. But as a right footer on the left wing, the long range curler, important one there. He's got soul control, a few skill moves for the dribblers. I would look to give him one touch pass and through passing, because his passing stats aren't brilliant. Maybe his long range shooting and first time shot as well. He's quite two-footed. I do like outside curl on most of my players, but when a player's this two-footed, it's not too big a concern. He's a super sub, which is nice. A pacey, skillful wide man is always nice as a super sub. But yeah, 1 or 2 skills needed, but he's got a decent selection there for a winger. I think the skill set he's got suits him well as an inverted winger, come off the left flank onto his right foot. I would look to maybe try and put a little bit more on his finishing, get to the 80 mark. Can we really do that? We could probably spare one from lower body. Could nick one from dexterity. Does that go enough? It does. There we go. Boom. 1 point spare. You could just take 1 off passing, and then you got 2 to get his lower body back up by 1. I'll probably just tweak him like that, actually. I think that's worth doing, because you're mainly going to focus on the shooting with this guy. So yeah, the pace, good on the ball. Balance is alright. I'd like the balance to be a bit higher, but it's not too bad. Nice attacking awareness. He's a prolific winger, so that playing style will be active as a wide forward. If you play him as a left midfielder, he can play there, but he won't have an active playing style. But as a prolific winger, especially playing as a wide forward on the left, attacking awareness in the 80s, he should be getting into good positions, and he's got some finishing ability. But certainly when you've got the pace and the ability on the ball that he's got, I think those who like a dribbler will probably like this guy. Although at 187 meters, what's that, about 5'11", 5'10"? So he's a reasonable height. His balance isn't amazing. I'm not sure how good he's going to feel on the ball, but he certainly won't feel bad with the attributes he's got. So yeah, again, not an amazing card this one, but I think it's a pretty decent one. If you're a fan of this guy, obviously it's the first time Valor feature version, so we're very, very pleased to potentially get this card. And yeah, I think it's a good solid card. Another one of these cards, a lot of the cards in these packs, I'm saying similar. It's not an amazing one, but it's certainly a good one. It's very usable. I think that the attributes he's got and the skill set he's got for this type of player, it all marries up pretty nicely, to be honest. So it might have been an amazing card, but it's a pretty nice one. I don't think it's too bad one to get if you spend this pack. And now we have Zeki Çelik, Turkish fullback playing for Roma. So Çelik has a face scan, attacking fullback. Let's jump over to the eFootball hub. How good is this Zeki Çelik card? There he is. So maximum level, fully boosted. He's fairly solid. Again, they always do this with fullbacks. They've gone all in on the pace, made him super quick, super stamina. A few other areas we'd like him to be a bit higher though. That balance straight where I'm seeing that low balance, bit of a shame. But yeah, he's kind of all right-ish. In most other areas where he's got fantastic speed and stamina. Previous versions of Çelik, we've had a few previous ones. This is a joint highest in terms of overall rating. The highest previously was from a Turkey pack. I would say that one of the Turkey pack is slightly better on the whole. It's slightly better defensively, but not a massive difference though. This is a good version of him. He's had a pretty decent boost with his GP card. And yeah, like I say, he's kind of decent looking on the whole, but I think the question really is, can we take a few points on the speed and beef him up in a few other areas? Because I'd like him to hit the 80 mark. Certainly for tackling now, I think that should be easy enough. But again, you see on lower body, they've gone so heavy on the lower body. He's going groups of 4. The last 4 increases on lower body have cost 4 points each. So you take the last 4 off lower body, that gives us 16 points to play with. We have lost a bit of kicking power there. It's a bit of a shame. I do like high kicking power on players, but we're still in the 90s for speed and stamina. And we can now beef him up elsewhere. So we go 1 on defending. I mean, you could go all in on defending, get him 80 plus in all of them. If you're more concerned with the defensive ability, you don't mind the technicals being a bit low, you could just do that. And then the remaining 4, maybe give him a couple more on physical, get him over 80 physical contact. If you're more concerned with the defensive side of a fullback, even though he's got the attacking fullback or wing back playing style, that might be the way to go. You can obviously put the defensive instruction on him, use him as a defensive fullback. If you look at the skills, there aren't many there. So that's a bit of a concern. So you're going to need to put some skills on this guy. Interception, maybe he's man marking and blocker defensively, and certainly going forward he's got nothing. So those technicals there, you might not mind them being a bit low, but it's certainly without any skills like the one-touch pass or pinpoint crossing, I would be concerned personally. So yeah, some skills needed, especially defensively. If you're not going to be going for a more of a defensive build, if you want a real attacking fullback, make the most of his playing style, which is what I would do, you could just take a bunch of these back. I'll leave the tackling at the 80 mark. I think that's important. It doesn't need quite as much physical strength, although it's nice to hit the 80 mark, and he's not got much balance. So I'll leave him there. I'll leave him with a bit of physical strength. 5 on aerial. So we've got 11 to play with. Can we get someone into the green down the left? Couple on dribbling. Maybe go 3 on dribbling. Get him up to 7, and then passing. Get low and lofted, both 80 plus. Got 3 points left. I'll stick one on dexterity, I think. He's got pretty poor balance. I would personally do that. I think that's a very, very decent looking all-round build on attacking fullback. It's not an amazing one. The balance is the main concern. I'd like a bit more kicking power, but I'm almost nitpicking a bit with the kicking power. I think it's pretty solid, this card. Like I say, it's a good version of Čelik. Maybe not quite the best, but it's near enough there. It is up there with the better versions of him. So if you rock a Turkey squad, if you're a fan of this guy for any reason, I think it's a solid version of him to pick up if you've not already got one that's as good as this. And you can shuffle those points around a little bit either way, or you can just stick with the auto allocations, have him very, very fast. Depends what your priorities are from a fullback, but either way, again, like a lot of these players are in these two kind of national team packs. There are a lot of these players that aren't amazing. They're not kind of top level players, but he's certainly very usable. I think for a lot of people, it could be a solid fullback to pick up. But the main thing with this guy is you're going to need to put some skills on him. But if you do give him the skills, he could be pretty solid for you. Next we have Mario Pašalić from Atalanta. So I've got a few versions of this guy. He's got a face gun, he's a whole player, attacking midfielder. He can also play centre mid, defensive mid. Standard form. He's not always in the team at Atalanta, but he seems to play well when he does get in the team. I've seen him a couple of times lately playing quite well. Let's jump over to eFootball Hub. So how good is this version of him? Fully maxed and fully boosted. It's pretty decent. So we've had a few versions of him. We've had a couple of Player of the Week cards. To be honest, both the Player Week cards have got a kind of more of a kind of centre midfield build. One of them is actually a centre mid with the box-to-box playing style, but they're both built with a little bit more defensive ability, kind of more around as well. This one I think is a bit better suited to attacking mid, although this one can be trained differently. It's a trainable card. I would say this one's a bit better than the Player of the Week cards. We've had a few trainable versions of him. One in Italian League pack, one in some kind of national team pack. He's in his Croatia kit, and one in some kind of legend pack or a Showtime. They're all pretty similar to this one though. Whatever position you're training for, pretty much the same. So not a lot of difference. He's not the best, but he's definitely one of the better versions of Pašalić. About as good as any, really. If anything, I'll probably say this is slightly better than the rest. They're just about the best version of him, and it's a pretty tidy card. It's not an amazing one. Again, I seem to be saying that about most of these cards. He's technically pretty sound. Attacking awareness in the 80s for a whole player is good. Making those forward runs into spaces, getting into good positions. Down the right though, not the quickest, not got amazing kicking power. Got a bit of physical strength for an attacking midfielder, which is unusual. That's good, but the balance is a bit low though. So yeah, not great across the board. He's got some qualities, kind of good in some areas, not particularly inspiring in others. Very two-footed, that is a positive. If we look down the skills, not a lot going on here, but he does have one-touch pass and through passing, probably the two most important skills in an attacking midfielder. Low lofted pass as well is nice. Heel check likewise. Cut behind and turn. I would look to give him probably long range shooting first. Not sure what else is particularly important. I mean, it depends what you need really. Like I say, he's got the two most important ones. Maybe his weighted pass actually. Weighted pass, long range shooting. I think those would be the first I put on him. Beyond that, maybe first time shot, long range curler, but maybe a few skill moves if you're a dribbler, but I'm not sure how great he's going to be at dribbling. He's not got a great deal of speed, he's not got great balance, he's not got brilliant dribbling, but he's not too bad either. But yeah, 6'2" though, 6'2", 85 dribbling, not much balance, not much speed. I don't think he's going to be great at dribbling. I think this is one of these attacking midfielders. He's just going to want to get him on the ball and create chances, and he looks like he's going to be decent at that. Just looking at the attributes, you could quite easily just nick one from dribbling there and get the low pass up to 90. It's probably worth doing. I wouldn't do much beyond that, to be honest, because you can't really spare too many points. You take points away from his on-the-ball attributes. He's not going to be as great on the ball. Likewise with the passing, you want him to be good at passing because that's the one thing he's really good at. So I don't think you can really do much to make him much quicker or give him much more balance. A bit of a shame, really. So yeah, in one or two areas he's not that great, but if you don't mind attacking midfielders not having a great deal of pace, if you just want to get players in that area of the pitch on the ball and pick a pass with them, it could be a very decent card for you. Like I say, it's just about it's a close call, but it's just about the best Pašalić I think we've had in the game. So if you like the guy, it'll be a very nice card for you to pick up. But yeah, yet again, got some qualities and it's a pretty nice card. It's just not an amazing one really. And to look at the other positions, I'll just go with the auto allocation initially as a centre midfielder. I mean, no defensive skills, not great defensive attributes. I wouldn't be playing him as a centre midfielder. Defensive midfielder, is he going to be any good there? I doubt it. Not really. I mean, do you want a defensive midfielder at 75 tackling? No, I don't either. So yeah, he's an attack midfielder. This isn't a bad card by any means. I would just nudge one, you know, a few points from dribbling onto passing there. I think that's worth doing. Technically very sound, very capable of picking a pass and creating a chance for you. Just beyond that, he's a little bit lacking. The finishing isn't brilliant. I'll give him some shooting skills to improve his finishing there. And he's not the quickest, and he does have great balance. So some weaknesses there, some downsides, but he's got some qualities. Very two-footed, very technically sound, can certainly pick a pass. Very decent card, just not an amazing one yet again. I'm saying that about a lot of these cards, but for a lot of people, it could be a decent one to pick up. And here is our goalkeeper. We've got Casteels, the Belgian goalkeeper. He's got a face scan. He's a defensive goalkeeper. And as with Antonio Nusa, we do have a bit of bad news. He does not get a live update because he is playing in Saudi Arabia now. So he's going to be stuck on C form apart from international weeks if he plays for Belgium and has a good game for them. Does have unwavering form though, so it's not a disaster. But yeah, something to keep in mind. No live update with this guy, but he's a big tall guy, about just over 6'5", I'll make that. So he's got a pretty good height on him. Let's jump over to eFootball Hub. How good is this Casteels card? He's pretty solid. So there was a Player of the Week card when he was at Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg were licensed or partnered at that point. Wasn't such a great card. This one's better. We've had a couple of trainable versions as well, though. Both of them in kind of, I'm not sure if they were Legend Boxes or Showtime, but you know the ones. Pretty similar. One of them a tiny bit worse than this card. One of them a tiny bit better, but all pretty similar on the whole, to be honest. Not a huge boost from his GP card, to be honest. He's had a nice boost on his parrying, but apart from that, not been boosted a great deal. But it's a pretty solid goalkeeper card, as you can see. Only the catching's a little bit on the low side. Parrying's kind of alright. But the goalkeeper awareness and reflex is almost at 90, reach at 90. Could we get a couple of one of those 89s up to the 90 mark? We've got 4 points to play with. Yeah, we can get one of them up to 90. So we could do goalkeeper awareness and do that. Or if you prefer the reflexes, could do that. I mean, if you really want those two at 90, you're not too bothered about the reach. Bear in mind, this guy's massive, 197 centimeters. You could sacrifice the goalkeeper reach. Maybe that's worth doing. Hang on, I did the wrong one. There. So you could get the awareness and reflexes up to the 90 mark if you wanted to. None of it's going to make a massive difference. He's a solid goalkeeper on the whole. It's not an amazing one. It's certainly not one that I think I'm going to be getting my wallet out for and throwing coins at this pack to try and get him. I think most of us have got some pretty good goalkeeper options by now if we've been playing the game for a while. But if you do need a new goalkeeper option, if you spin this pack, he is a solid keeper. And of course, if you're a fan of this guy, if you're Belgian, maybe you support a team he's played for, could be a good card to pick up. He's certainly a very capable keeper with the awareness, reflexes and reach either at the 90 mark or at least close to it. Catching and parrying, not too bad. And with the reach that he's got, not just the reach attribute with the size of the guy, about 6'5" or so, looks like he's a very solid goalkeeper. So yeah, again, another card where he's not amazing. He's not a top level keeper. There are better keepers around. A lot of us will probably have multiple options at least around the same level, if not better. But he's not a bad keeper at all. He's big, he's solid, got decent attributes. He could certainly do a good job for a lot of people. And another player now who does not get a live update from the Bundesliga. We've got Maximilian Mittelstädt, an attacking left back. He's a fullback finisher. As always with fullback finisher, if you're not familiar with that playing style, he's going to be getting forward a lot, but not just up and down the left flank. He's going to be drifting inside, looking to get involved in the midfield, in the middle of the pitch. He does have a face scan. He's got inconsistent form, so that live update situation is a big concern with this guy. He's not getting live update outside of international weeks, and he's got inconsistent form. That's something to really keep in mind. But is he any good? That's the question. We'll jump over to eFootball Hub and find out. And he is decent. Yeah, this is a decent looking left back, to be fair. So we have had a previous version of Mittelstädt, and that was, I think that's quite recent. It's one of the ones that was in a legend pack, I think, where the background was like a kind of black and green football or something. That was slightly better than this one, actually. So this is not the best version of him. He's had a reasonable boost from his GP card, though nothing crazy. Interestingly, when you train up his GP card with auto allocation, they put more points on his lower body attributes than they do on this one for some reason. But yeah, he has had a decent boost though. Not quite as good as that previous version of him, but decent boost. And interestingly, he never uses weaker foot, but it's very strong. That's quite unusual. But yeah, left-footed left back, full-back finisher, and the profile he's got, I think it's a pretty good attacking left back with that full-back finisher playing style. I think he's got the right kind of profile for it. Good pace, great kicking power. Physical just about okay around the 70 mark. Balance is decent in the 80s. Stamina's great. Defensively, the awareness and tackling hit the 80 mark. Engagement and aggression not quite so high, but not too bad. He's obviously a very attacking player. With this kind of left back, he's going to be getting forward a lot. I don't think you can ask too much for his defensive attributes. And then down the left here, just one of these important technical ones doesn't quite hit the 80 mark, but that's almost there. So technically pretty decent. That's what you want on a fullback finisher if he's going to be pushing up and getting into the midfield and getting involved in the build-up. So what skills have we got here? As I expected, mostly attacking skills. In fact, they're all attacking skills, I think. So he's got long-range drive. I'm not sure how often he's going to be hitting those long-range curlers with his left foot when he's playing on the left, although he is going to drift into the middle, so you never know. Long-range shooting, rising shots. His finishing is not amazing, but could be worse though for a fullback. So he's got a half-decent shot for a fullback. Weighted pass, pinpoint crossing, low-lofted pass, acrobatic clearance. So he's got one defensive skill. So first things first, yes, he's a very attacking fullback, but he's a fullback. He's a defender of sorts. You've got to put some defensive skills on him. Interception be the first one. I always say that. I think it's the most important one in a fullback, but blocker and man marking probably pretty important as well. And also, if he is going to be getting forward a lot, if you do like a fullback finisher, then I'll consider putting one-touch pass and through passing on him as well, because he will be an auxiliary midfielder at times. But he's pretty well built as a fullback finisher, though, just outside of the lack of defensive skills. And in terms of the way he's been built here, I'm not sure I'd do a great deal, really. You can afford to lose a bit of his lower body, but I don't like to go below the 90 mark on speed for a fullback, so I'm just going to nick one from there. And I really want to get that dribbling up to the 80 mark. He's a very attacking player, so he might as well focus on these attributes. That's probably about all I'll do, really. Got 1 point spare. Could just nick one from passing, still be 80 plus, low enough to pass, and then we've got another 2 points so we can increase maybe dexterity. I wonder, can we get that acceleration to 90? We just need 1 point from somewhere. Damn it. Maybe we can't. Nah, give up. Well, if you really want to get the acceleration up, you can nick one from dribbling and just undo what I've done there and just accept he's not a great dribbler. If you wanted to get the acceleration to 90, you might want to do that on a fullback. Pace is important, especially if he is going to be moved up into the pitch, and on occasions when you lose the ball, he might be out of possession, so having the pace to get back into position is important, especially with his defensive not all being that brilliant. The engagement's a bit on the low side, so yeah. Depends which way you can do it. You can get his dribbling up to the 80 mark, you can just get his acceleration to the 90 mark. You might want to abandon some of the defensive skills and really make him a better attacking player. Whichever way you want to do it, you can shuffle a few points around, but on the whole, if you want a real defensive fullback, not going to be your kind of guy. This isn't the card for you. But if what you like an attacking fullback, and you like that fullback finisher playing style, and he's got a decent profile for it. The previous version of him was slightly better, but this is still a good one for what he is. The profile, I think, all marries up quite nicely. But even as a very attacking player from that fullback position, you will need to give him 1 or 2 defensive skills. But if he suits you with his playing style and his profile, give him 1 or 2 defensive skills. He could be a very fun one to pick up. It could be very effective. So not going to be for everyone, but if the profile suits you, I think you might end up quite liking this guy. And before I forget, I should probably check how good he is as a winger, because you can position train him to make him a left winger. In fact, you can position train him for centre back if you wanted, but I have a feeling he's not going to be great as a centre back, and I'm right, he's not. So let's just look at him as a winger. So left midfield, you can take all the points away from defending. Forget about defending if you're a winger. Any good as a winger? Not bad. I think you probably want to make him a bit better at dribbling first. Can we spare some points from anywhere to make him better at dribbling? Not sure you can, really. It's a pretty even build they're in there. A bunch of 8s and then a few on his shooting. Yeah, I don't think I'll shuffle any points down, to be honest. As a left wing, I'll do something like that. He could be a pretty effective one. Not an amazing one, but with pinpoint crossing, he is going to have a good cross. Very, very nice cross, actually. 88 lofted, 81 curl, 90 kicking power. So a very nice cross if you put him on the left wing as an old school winger, whipping crosses in. Decent pace. Good balance. Just not amazing on the ball. Certainly not bad. He's decent on the ball, but for a winger, I think most people would look for a winger to be a bit better on the ball, better at dribbling, but that's not to say he's bad. Attacking awareness is a bit low as well. So yeah, if you did want to use him as a left winger, if you want to use a position trainers to do that, he could certainly do a job. The main strength would be clearly his ability to put a good cross in, but beyond that, good, yes. Amazing, no. So he is an option if you want to make him a winger, but certainly as a fullback, a very attacking fullback, that fullback finisher playing style, a couple of defensive skills. If the profile suits you, could be a good one, but it won't be for everyone, this guy. Next we have Kevin Danso, centre-back, destroyer, plays for Lons in Ligue 1, unwavering form, 6'3", looking like a pretty solid profile for centre-back, but how good is he exactly? Let's have a quick look on eFootball Hub. So all fully maxed out and boosted, pretty solid to be honest. We've had one previous version of Danso, that was in the Player of the Season pack at the end of last season, and that card was a good one, but this one's around about the same to be honest, goes to about the same level. So yeah, it's a good version of him. If you don't already have that Player of the Season version, and if you want a version of this guy, he looks pretty good. Down the middle of the AC, 90 plus always defensive, physically very strong, jumping just shy of 90, pretty decent pace for a centre back. And everywhere else he's pretty much par for the course for a centre back. What's the skill situation? So aerially we've got heading and aerial superiority, then we've got man marking, interception, acrobatic clearance, blocker, sliding tackle. I think fighting spirit you'd probably want to put on him. He's got long throw, fantastic. But yeah, maybe he's on 2 passing skills, fighting spirit, but he's got all the pretty much all the important skills you want on a centre back really, and some good attributes. So yeah, I wouldn't really change a great deal. I wouldn't want to dip below 90 on defensive awareness. So I'm not going to scrimp any points from there. If you wanted to get the jumping up to 90, you'd have to nick a point from either acceleration or lower his speed. In fact, just notice that kicking power is horrible at 62. So there's one downside with this guy. Be careful not to underhit your passes. That's one slight concern for you there. But yeah, you could nick maybe just 1 from dexterity. Won't make a lot of difference. But if you put it on a sneaky goalkeeper 1, you can get the jumping up to 90. I think that's worth doing. It looks very solid to me. So yeah, he's about the same overall as the Player of the Season version of him, and that's the only other version of him there is. So if you want a good version of him, this is about as good as you're likely to get. Unwavering form, decent profile on the whole, decent pretty much everywhere. You know, he's not brilliant technically, he's a destroyer. I think as a destroyer you can't expect too much technically. He's got the profile of a destroyer, physically strong, just good at defending, but he's got decent pace there as well. And yeah, on the whole, it looks like a very decent, solid centre-back. He's got good selection skills. No real negative, I'll just say be careful not to underhit your passes, and outside of that, this is a good, solid centre-back card. And next up we have Zaïre-Emery from PSG, teenage midfielder. Feels like he's been around a couple of years now, still only 18 though. He's a box-to-box centre mid, he's got a face scan, only standard form. Let's have a look on eFootball Hub. How good is this Zaïre-Emery card? So, all trained up. He's pretty decent. So we've had a couple of versions of him. There's one in some kind of legend box, almost as good as this one. There's one in the France pack that I had when I got that France pack with the legend Griezmann's card. That wasn't as good as this one. So this one is just about the best version of him that we've had so far. He's had a reasonable boost from his GP card. His physicals, defending and passing, all other nice boosts. So this is a nice version of him. If you like this guy, this is as good as you're going to get, certainly so far. Really nice passing. Certainly with the attributes. Let's have a look at his skills. So we've got one touch bars, weighted and low lofted. We need through passing now. So if you give him through passing, he's going to have really nice passing if you leave him on auto allocation. Got interception, fighting spirit, sliding tackle. So yeah, outside of through passing, he's got a really good selection of skills for a box-to-box centre mid. But through passing is a very important one to give him. And yeah, it's pretty tidy on the ball. Attacking awareness is pretty poor. That's frustrating. Defensively, pretty solid, just the engagement's a bit low, but I think you can live with that. The others are all 80 plus. Pretty nice pace for a centre midfielder. Not the strongest physically, would like a few more points on there. Not sure if we can increase. Oh, we can. They've not put any on his aerial for some reason. Balance could be higher, but it's not too low, and stamina 90 is around about the mark you want it to be. So yeah, on the whole, solid centre mid to be honest. As I mentioned, I had the version in the France pack with the Griezmann legend card, and to be honest, it wasn't a bad card, but there was just nothing great about it for me. I tried him out a little bit and just wasn't really doing it for me. But I will say that I've heard from I think 3 or 4 people up to now who've had one of the 2 previous versions of him, and everyone seems to think he's great. So I don't know if there's something I'm missing or not, but in my experience, not a bad card at all. It just wasn't an amazing one, the one that I had. But other people do seem to really like this guy. So if you do get him, give him a try. Maybe like those other people, you'll find you really like the guy. Certainly does look decent, even if he doesn't look amazing to me. In terms of shuffling points around, I would certainly nick a few of passing. You can afford to do that. And then what would you do outside of that? I want to give him some more balance first. And then a bit of physical strength. I'll probably just do that, to be honest. So he's still tidy on the ball. He's still going to have nice passing, but especially if you give him through passing. You've got to give him that through passing skill. Attacking awareness is at least over 70, still on the low side. We've got that physical contact up a little bit. We've got a balance up to 86 and the acceleration up. He's actually pretty quick for a centre midfielder. It's not that common for a centre midfielder to be as quick as him. So yeah, he's going to feel pretty mobile, pretty responsive. Got a little bit more physical strength like that. think for me that's probably a better build overall for a centre midfielder. And like I say, in my experience, he's not been amazing. And this card to me doesn't look amazing again, but it does look pretty decent. And other people do seem to really like this guy. So it might well be a card, like I say, that's well worth trying if you spin this pack and you get him. It looks like a solid centre midfielder. I would just give him through passing, and then you might end up with a very nice centre midfielder. He can play defensive midfield as well. In fact, you could position chain him as an attacking mid. Should we have a look at that first? Let's take away all the defensive first. Free up 14 points. How good can we make him as an attacking mid? I think I'll just do that. It doesn't really improve him that much going forward, to be honest. Certainly could do a job if you gave him through passing. He's got long range shooting. So yeah, possibility as an attacking mid if you really wanted to do that. You could even make him a right mid. If you gave him pinpoint crossing, lofted pass at 89 there. And he's got some pace on him. Would I do anything different to that as a right mid? Probably not. I think as a right midfielder, I'd build in something like that. He's not quite as quick as you probably want a winger to be, but he's certainly not slow with acceleration, especially good balance, tidy on the ball. He's gonna have a decent cross if you gave him pinpoint crossing. So you've got the options of right mid. I'm not sure many people would want to do that. Keep in mind the box-to-box playing style will still be active as a right midfielder. It's an interesting play style on a wide man. He's going to get up and down and cover a lot of ground. But yeah, I've tried a couple of box-to-box wide men. I've got Oxlade-Chamberlain and I think Dula Cruz, both box-to-box wide men. They've done pretty well for me when I've used them, to be honest, as wide midfielders. So yeah, that is an option if you want to use them as a wide mid, right or even left. If you want to use the position trainers, just depends how many position trainers you want to use to do that. But you could do that. Left wing, if you gave him long range curler, could be pretty effective there, to be fair. But yeah, attacking mid also possibly an option as well. But as a centre mid, very solid looking. And should we try him as a right back actually? I'm going to finish up with defensive mid. Let's try right back. What's the auto allocation saying for right back? I'll tell you what, that's not bad. That's actually not bad. There's an option for you. So as an attacking right back, he's got a decent selection of skills for a right back. Give him pinpoint crossing. He's going to have a nice cross on him. His passing is very good for a fullback. Can we just nick a few points from the areas where he doesn't really need them? Yeah, that's actually interesting, you know. So if you spin this pack and you get this guy, you don't really need a midfielder. As a right back, this guy is pretty decent looking. Decent pace, decent physical strength, good balance and stamina. Defensively, he's pretty strong. The engagement's a bit low, but 80 plus on the rest. All 80 plus down here on these technicals. That might be worth considering, you know. I don't think many people would look at this guy as a right back, but if for whatever reason you get him and you don't fancy him midfield, training him for a right back, you don't really need any skills desperately. I would just give him pinpoint crossing, maybe he's man marking blocker, but you've got interception, sliding tackle, fighting spirit. You've got the passing apart from through passing. That's an option for you. That's actually a very tidy looking attacking right back. Technically very nice. So that's an option for you. But like I say, we'll finish up with the defensive mid. I'll just see what the auto allocation says for defensive mid. Again, pretty solid. So defensively, pretty solid. Technically, pretty solid. He's got that low pass at 90 still as a defensive mid. Pretty decent pace for a defensive mid. I think physical contact's probably the one area I'd like him to be a bit higher, really. Can we spare some points for that? Maybe. Where would you get the points for it, though? Nick a couple from passing. That almost does it. One from defending. There we go. Boom. 80 physical contact. We've got 1 point spare. Stick it on jumping. Goalkeeper 1. Yeah, there's an option as well. Not going to be an amazing defensive mid. He's not going to be as a real out-and-out defensive mid, protecting your defense. I don't think he's quite strong enough defensively and physically for that, but as an all-rounder, kind of like almost like a deep line playmaker, he could do that job pretty well for you. Keep in mind, again, box-to-box playing style will be active there. So that playing style box-to-box will be active defensive mid, centre mid, right and left mid. That it won't be active attacking mid if you're training for that position or right back. So as a defensive mid, if you want to put him there, you want to hold him back, defensive instruction will be needed, but I'm not sure he's quite built to be that good in that way. He can certainly do that job, but yeah, I think he's probably best as a centre mid. I'll just leave him on his auto allocation for centre mid because he's got lovely passing now. I think the overall build, obviously I tweaked it initially, but you could just leave it on auto allocation, give him through passing, and he'll have really, really nice passing. He's already got one touch pass, weighted and low lofted pass. Nice passing. He's got interception, got a bit of defensive ability, bit of everything really. Just the attacking awareness is a bit on the low side, but there's a bunch of different ways you can use this guy. Obviously, most people look at him as a centre mid, and if you do give him through passing, it could be a very good option there. So, yeah, I think for a lot of people, this could be a very, very useful card to pick up. I think it's a pretty nice one on the whole. And we now have another Declan Rice card. We have had quite a few Declan Rice cards. So, box to box. He's not always been a box to box. The previous version of Declan Rice of sometimes been destroyers. I think we've had 1 or 2 Anchorman versions as well. Obviously, he's got a face scan. That's a little bit of an old face scan now. Still all right, though, I guess. Unwavering form. So, yeah, let's have a look. How good is this Declan Rice card? eFootball Hub. Do your thing. Boom. He is pretty much as you would expect. He's always defensively very strong. He's really strong defensively. Down the left, he's not quite so great. On the ball, I mean, he's all right on the ball for a defensive mid, but the passing is dodgy for me. I always say you've got to be able to pass the ball in midfield, any area of midfield, whether it's centre, attacking, or defensive. And I'm guessing, yeah, all we've really got with the passing is weight and low Loftus. So there's no one-touch pass, no through passing. When a player's passing attributes are low and his balance is low, you're really going to need to give him one-touch pass and through passing. Very important ones. You might want to give him outside curler as well because he's a bit one-footed. So some skills are needed, although defensively, man marking, interception, blocker, sliding tackle. He's also got fighting spirit. Defensively, he's pretty well sorted. You could give him area superiority as well, but defensively, he's got a good selection. It's just those passing skills, one touch and through, very important on this guy, whether you use him as a defensive mid or a centre midfielder. As a defensive midfielder, if you don't mind the attributes on the left being a bit low, the technicals, then defensively very strong, physically very strong. You might think he's just great as he is. Again, box-to-box playing style though, that's always going to be active, both defensive and centre midfield. So keep that in mind. You want him to just sit back and protect your defence, put the defensive instruction on him. And as a centre midfielder, they of course put more points on his passing when you do that. So yeah, usable as a centre midfielder. It's a decent profile, but again, really need to give him through passing and one-touch pass. Crucial if you do that. But if he did that, outside of the horrible balance and attacking awareness, it certainly looks like he could do a job as a kind of physical presence in the middle of the park. So if you look at previous versions of Declan Rice, there have been absolutely loads. There's a bunch of player of the week cards. You've had an Anchorman and the Destroyer. If you train this card to try and match the attributes of those, it's pretty similar. Been a couple of box-to-box player of the week cards as well. If you try and train this guy to match the 2 box-to-box player of the week cards, you'd probably struggle to match them all, in every area. They're both a little bit better than this one overall. And in terms of trainable versions of Declan Rice that we've had, there've been a bunch of them. Both Destroyer and box-to-box, we've had a few that are a bit better than this one, to be honest. So this isn't the best version of Declan Rice. He has had he's not actually had a great boost from his GP card rate. It's not a massive boost at all. Most stats have gone up by 1 or 2. Some of them haven't been increased at all. Speed and acceleration have had the biggest boost. They've put a few points on the speed and acceleration. So yeah, on the whole, not the most exciting boost. And we've had a bunch of Declan Rice cards in the past that are a little bit better than this one. So it's not a great card. So I think it's just one of these cards where if you've got a good version already, you probably don't need this one. But if you don't have a good version of Declan Rice at all, this is obviously a good card to have, albeit it's not had a massive boost from his GP card, apart from a decent little boost to his pace. So yeah, depends how you want to use him. But as a centre midfield, I mean, I would look to try and get his passing up a little bit if possible there. Probably, I mean, as a centre midfielder, you can nick a couple off defending. That gives you 3 points at least there, and that nudges his low pass up a couple to 88. But I'd really like the dexterity up, the balance and the attack awareness are horrible. I'm not sure this guy's really well suited towards playing as a centre midfielder. I would probably just do that. I think that's about as good as I can make him as a centre mid. Wouldn't recommend it myself. Would need one-touch pass and through passing. But even then, the kind of real strengths he's got are being a big physical guy, and if that's the case with the profile he's got and everything, the skills he's got, I think you're better off just going with DMF, which is his main position, his registered position, in which case, very strong defensively and physically. Again, though, you do need someone passing. Let's just see, can we beef his passing up a little bit? We can a bit. Don't need all of that on lower body. Yeah, I'll do something like that. Can we get dexterity up a bit? A little bit. Yeah, I'd probably do something like that as a defensive mid. Pretty strong, to be fair. Defensively, very strong. He's a big physical guy. We've at least got the balance up to the 70 mark. He's still got 90 plus stamina. A little bit of kicking power on him. Made the passing better. Comfortable enough on the ball. But yeah, whatever position you play him in, you're going to need one-touch passing, through passing for sure. But outside of that, he's got some good defensive skills. Strong profile for a DMF. Could use him as a big, strong physical presence in the middle of the park as a centre mid box-to-box. You could position train him as a centre-back as well. I think we looked at a Declan Rice card not too long ago, and that did work. Yeah, so as a centre-back, if you wanted to make this guy a centre-back with the position trainers, that's an option for you. Defensively, very strong. Physically strong. Jumping's not amazing. 6'1", you'd need to give him aerial superiority for sure, and heading as well, because his heading's not great. But you've got the option of a sneaky centre-back if you wanted to do that with him for whatever reason. Obviously, box-to-box playing style would not be active there anymore, but it would in his other positions, centre mid or defensive mid. But defensive mid for me, that's where you get the most value out of him. Obviously, it's a good card, but he's got 1 or 2 areas of concern. He does need one-touch passing, through passing, and it's not the best version of Rice we've had. So, in a bunch of ways, not the most exciting card. It's not one I'll be too desperate to get. I think a lot of people probably got a better version of Declan Rice at this point, or had one at least. But if you don't have a good version, it is a good card in itself. Just 1 or 2 areas of slight concern, and like I say, I've had a bunch of versions of him that have been better in the past. So slightly disappointing in some ways, but still a good card, and depending how you use it, especially the defensive midfielder, could be a very strong one to have in your squad. Next up is Nico Williams. So, prolific winger. He can play on either flank as a wide midfielder or a wide forward. He's got his face cam with his fantastic hair. He's got unwavering form. I'm not sure when he became unwavering, but that's great. Albeit he's on D at the moment for whatever reason. But yeah, unwavering form. Got Nico Williams. And how good a version of Nico Williams is this? He's decent. So, we've had a bunch of versions of him at this point. We've had a few Player of the Week cards. There have been a couple that were slightly better. A couple that weren't quite as good though. So as far as comparing to the Player of the Week versions that we've had previously, it's kind of middle of the road really. Not always been a prolific winger. Certainly at least one of them is a whole player. I think I've got that one. It's been quite decent for me. Not amazing. Doesn't feel quite as fluid on the ball as you kind of would expect when you look at the attributes for whatever reason, or maybe that's just me being rubbish at dribbling. But yeah, a couple of Player Weeks have been slightly better though. If you compare it to previous trainable versions, obviously there's been a Showtime card, which was the best version of him so far, as you would expect. But outside of the Showtime one, this one looks like it's the best trainable version we've had. He's had a pretty reasonable boost from his GP card. A bunch of his stats gone up by about 4 or 5. At level 1 at least. That doesn't look like really focused on any particular attribute or attributes. They all went with just a whole bunch of attributes gone up by a few points. So yeah, he's a fairly good version of him. Like I say, we've had the Showtime one, a couple of Player of the Weeks that were better, but outside of those few, it's better than the rest. And you can see what he's good at: running very fast and dribbling. He's one of these players. He's pretty decent. Like I say, the one I've got doesn't feel that fluid on the ball. He's just something about him just doesn't quite feel that great. But that's not to say he's bad. He has still been good for me. He's quick. He can certainly dribble. His end product is the one area of slight concern. Passing is not brilliant. Finishing could be better. Could we spare some points? Yes, I think quite easily. Let's have a look at his skills first. He's very two-footed, by the way. Very two-footed player, so that's great. So loads of skills, and then long range curler and pinpoint crossing. So yeah, very two-footed and outside curler. That's great. So he's very, very capable of playing on either wing. But in terms of end product, playing him on the left wing, cutting inside, you've got long range curler. Playing him on the right wing, putting crosses in. Is that what you want to do? I don't know. I mean, keep in mind he's two-footed, so it doesn't really matter which wing he's on. You can cut inside and hit long range curlers, or you can cross it. I don't think his lofted pass is high enough to really focus on crossing, to be honest. I mean, if he tried to really beef up his crossing as much as you can, how good can you make it? I mean, you can make it pretty decent, actually. I don't know if I'd want to scrimp any more points from elsewhere. Yeah. If you're going to play him on the right, especially, and put crosses in with him, you can get his lofted to 81, still 90 plus on the ball, still great pace, balance. Could be an option, actually, putting crosses in, if that's your kind of winger. Could be a very nice card. I think most people would probably look at this guy as a winger who'd play, and like I say, he's very two-footed, but naturally right-footed, so probably off the left flank, cutting onto his right. He's got a long-range curler, in which case you probably wouldn't worry too much about passing, and you just get his finishing up to 8 instead. And a curl 85 as well. Kicking power, not amazing at 80, but it's at least at the 80 mark. Yeah, this looks. I think a lot of people will be very keen to get this card. If you've not already got the Showtime version or one of the 2 Player of the Week ones that's a bit better than this could be a very nice version of Nico Williams to have. Like I say, it's 2-footed, he is, and with outside curl, you can put him on either flank, whichever way you want to use him. If you want to be pinging crosses into the box, I mean, the way crossing is these days, you really need one of those crazy kind of Showtime edge crossing or legend edge crossing players, because they've absolutely nerfed the hell out of heading and crossing these days, which is frustrating, but it is what it is. But yeah, with this guy, like I say, you could do that, but I think to get the most value out of him, focusing more on his finishing with long range curler, with the pace and the dribbling ability that he's got, to be able to go past defenders with ease and get into good positions to hit shots, I think from either flank, it could be a really, really nice winger to have. Yes, there have been a few better versions of him, but if you don't have one of those, it's pretty obvious what he's good at, and he's great at it. So I think a lot of people will see this as a very, very interesting card to potentially pick up. And lastly for this pack, we have Rúben Dias from Man City. So, he is of course the Destroyer, he of course has a face scan, he of course has unwavering form. We're going to jump over to eFootball to see how good he is. And the good news is, it's one of the better trainable versions of him. So, I can only see a couple of versions of him that we've had that are better than this. There was a Showtime one, and the other one was in that Ballon d'Or pack. It's got a kind of purpley background. Outside of that, he's up there with the best. There's a good version of him. The not so good news is that they barely boosted from his GP card, really. It's just, I mean, some attributes haven't been boosted at all from his GP card. Some of them are up by just 1 or 2. The speed and acceleration have gone up by a few each. That's about it, really. So it's not a massive boost from his GP card, really, but it is still one of the better versions of Dias that we've had. So it's a good card. As you can see, I mean, the defensive attributes here are fantastic. The guy's a beast defensively. He's a beast physically. The physical contact, the heading is over 90. Jumping not quite at 90. I'm sure we can see to that in a moment. Pace, like I said, it boosted it slightly from his GP card, so it could be slower. He's not the quickest, but he's not slow. It's kind of average pace for a centre-back, really. Horrible balance. He's not great on the ball, so be careful on the ball with him. I'm sure most people don't try to do too much dribbling with their centre-backs, but do be careful not to ask too much from on the ball. Good stamina for a centre-back. Passing is not too bad. I wonder if we can nudge that up. We just need 2 points to get that low pass to 70. We don't need many to get the jumping up. Just 2 for goalkeeper 1, really, so... yeah, so that's 4 points we need to spare. Easy peasy. Nick 1 off defending. And then... in fact, I'm going to take a few off defending. Let's just see how well-rounded we can make him. Get that low pass to 70. In fact, we could even get the ball control to 70. Get the jumping to 90. What can we do with this guy? We've got 5 points spare. Nice. Acceleration to 70. Bosh. We could do that. Not sure everyone would do that, because you don't want to take too many points away and then really take away from what he's so good at, because he's got such strong defenses. But as you can see there, taking a bunch of points off defending, we're still at 93 on awareness, 90 engagement, tackling 93, aggression 95. The physical contact still 94, heading still 91. We've got the jumping up to 90. The acceleration's up to the 70 mark. We've got the ball control and passing up, low pass up to the 70 mark. For me, I would probably do that. I think he's still perfectly strong defensively and physically, but getting a few of those other attributes up a little bit I think is worth it personally. Depends what you want to do. If you'd rather not, obviously with the auto allocation you can just leave him as an absolute defensive monster. Depends what you'd rather do. Either way, it's not going to make a huge difference. It's a very good centre-back card. It's one of the better versions of Dias, albeit obviously, like I say, there's the Showtime and that other one that are slightly better than this one. But if you don't have a good version of Dias, or if you don't have one as good as this is a really good centre-back. He's a destroyer, he's a thug, he's defensively really strong. Skill-wise, he's usually only missing 1 or 2. So we've got heading and aerial superiority, then we've got man-marking, interception, fighting spirit, sliding tackle. So we're missing blocker, and we're missing acrobatic clearance. So that's usually the case with Dias. So yeah, if you get this card, you're going to use him a lot. You're going to put skills on him, blocker and acrobatic clearance. Those are the 2 you want to start with. Those are the only 2 he's really lacking. That's really the only downside with this card, just a couple of skills, especially blocker, that he's missing. But outside of that, defensively great, physically great. Or you can make him a bit more well-rounded like I did, and he's still just as strong as he needs to be defensively and physically. So yeah, not the best Rúben Dias we've had, but even though he's not much of a boost from his GP card, it's still a very, very good card. It's one of the better versions of Dias. And yeah, like I say, if you want a good version of Dias, you don't need to look much further. It's a very strong card, this. So there is your European national team selection pack thingy, whatever it's called. Like with the worldwide one, it's decent. You've got some good cards in there. You've got a good version of Williams, you've got a good version of Dias. Not the best version of Rice, but it's still a good card. Zaïre-Emery for a lot of people could be a very interesting card, and not just as a centre midfielder, but a few other positions you could potentially train him for as well. So it's a pretty interesting card, that one. Another solid centre-back, Danso there. Mittelstädt, not going to be for everyone, that type of attacking forward with the full-back finisher playing style, but if that suits you, it could be a very nice one. Solid goalkeeper. Pašalić, not for everyone, but for some people could be pretty handy as an attacking mid. Nusa, pretty decent card as a kind of inverted ring off the left flank. Solid fullback in Čelik, and then Moise Kean. Decent at goal poachers, to be fair. Not amazing, but a pretty decent one. So yeah, both these packs pretty decent on the whole, to be fair. So I think for a lot of people, could be some interesting cards in the pack if you do spin for it. And that's probably going to be me for this year, I think. I'm going to be back for next week's Player of the Week, but I'll be doing that late. I'm going to be away for Christmas until the weekend after Player of the Week. So the next video will be my Player of the Week review, which I imagine will probably go live Sunday or Monday. So I will see you for that. And in the meantime, I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic festive season. Whatever you're celebrating, if you're celebrating, if you're not, just have a great time, whatever you're doing. Take care of yourselves, take care of everyone else, and I will see you very soon. Bye!